There's a lot of different YouTube videos out there on how to stand out from the crowd with relative ease, as this thumbnail kind of caught you, I would say, with the text there. So what are some ways that we can do this, and are those other videos worth watching? My opinion, those are not worth watching. But in my opinion also, I do have a method set up for you that has been very effective for me in the past and present that I am going to share with you. And it is not the excessive use of something to grab others' attention, but this is the unobtrusive use of, or rather the lack of the use of something that will draw attention to you because of your lack of this thing. So I think this is a very interesting and not outgoing method of bringing not bad attention, but good attention to yourself. It's always very difficult dealing with this topic because it sounds very self-centered, and I get that. So let's dive right in with a short little story that I'm going to tell you about how this method kind of came about. So I was standing in line at an amusement park, waiting to go on this roller coaster. Now, these lines can be pretty big. It was my sister's birthday, and we were just, I was sitting there with a mate of mine, and we were just not really talking, not really doing much. We were just kind of listening to the people around us. As I said, not obtrusively, we were just eavesdropping in a good way to pass the time. So one conversation that I think was behind us was this maybe 20-year-old couple talking about how they never wanted to have children because this generation seems so disrespectful and simply too outgoing, or to repeat myself, disrespectful. So that made me think a lot about my most recent video, which you can check out on my channel, that is Teens Are Ready to Change. Got a bunch of fun Matrix references in that, and that is simply, we need to be a new generation of teens that can set the way using the Rosenthal method and all these different like the Pygmalion effect. So check that out if you would like to know more about that stuff. But another conversation was between some teens, some youths about my age, maybe older, maybe even younger, some of them, and they were just chatting back and forth. I didn't really catch the content of their talk, but I did unfortunately cringe every half a paragraph, or even sentence I should say, because instead of using filler words like and ah, they were just dropping the F-bomb and other expletives without warrant and flippantly. So what I think this is doing, and I kind of was like, oh, that's not good, me. I was judging them mentally because they were using those expletives so flippantly. And I think that was really a bad thing that I'm doing as a person. I'm like, ooh, you're probably less educated, you know, your house is probably not as nice, stuff like that. That is degrading other persons. It's dehumanizing, but then also, I don't think I'm the only one who does it. When someone hears people flippantly using expletives, I think they really hear a status, the status of that person in those words and in the way they're using the semantic arts throughout conversation and communication. So what does this mean, and how is this method going to help? And I think this method is going to kind of be hard for some of you. It was a little bit clickbaity with that stand apart from the crowd with ease. A little bit of clickbait, not too much. You can probably do this. There's other videos and gurus out there that'll help you on your way to kind of figuring this out. So this method is to not swear. Now, I know if you're a person who likes to swear, there's so many of them out there. Hi, people out there. Don't get offended by this. I'm sorry if I have offended you, but prove me wrong. You can go out there and try to not really, let's just say not swear for a day. And maybe your friends that you're hanging out, I would assume through their influence, maybe you've sworn a little bit more, maybe they'll start being like, what is up with my pal here? What's going on, mate? Why aren't you swearing? And I think this happens to me a lot. I'll be around Obviously, I'm a fairly conservative person. I don't hold it against non-conservatives, but I'll go out in public and people will be swearing, and I'll be around people and they'll be like, I haven't heard you use a single curse word this entire time. And I think, for me, I'm like, yeah, because I haven't really ever gotten the habit, so I don't know what it's like to break, so I assume it's pretty hard to break. But there are people out there that can help you. And this method is simply not to swear. Now, I know that sounds super dumb to you guys, and it did at first to me until I was like, hold on, this might be an advantage that people who don't swear, simply by not engaging in that, have over people who do. So I think that's really interesting. But I think it goes back to subcultures and normative cultures. So this norm, this group of people in a country or in a culture, they have set a norm of, okay, this is what we usually do. We have our semantic collection of, I guess, slang. And so we have our armory of expletives, which in my opinion, expletives are your atomic warheads of the vocabulary. They're to be held in reserve for moments of dire need or communicative power. So if I'm a fiction writer, this channel is for impacting my generation, teens, and for teaching fiction writing and tips and tricks and tools that I've learned along the way. So if you're interested in that, check out my channel. But for me, and I've noticed this in a bunch of different books, I'll reference Harry Potter in a second. I bet you a bunch of people love Harry Potter. Some in my genre don't really. I'm sorry, bear with me. If I was to use expletives so much, flippantly throughout my narrative, and then at the last chapter, I throw this one in that I haven't used too much, and the audience is supposed to be like, oh, this is powerful. The villain has had it coming to them this entire time. It's not really going to do that because I've been using these expletives, these powerful words, in a way that is far less respectful of that power that they have. So Harry Potter does this wonderfully. There's very few expletives throughout the entire series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's very few throughout that, besides Ron. But when we get to that last fight, when we have Harry's mom, it's Ron's mom, you shame for a Gryffindor. The Molly, all the HP fans are gonna kill me, is dueling with Bellatrix, and she uses the B word. No one is really complaining when they watch that scene, even conservative people who don't swear like me, because this villain has had it coming to them for what, like, is that 4 or 5 books? I'm not sure. It's been coming for so long, and those are words of power that really make the audience go like, oh, that's important. I need to pay attention here. That was deserving. This felt so good because of this awesome payoff. On the other hand, if I was to swear around most of my usual friends, I think they would suddenly be like, Xavier, what's wrong? I would hook their attention immediately. And I intend, actually, as a fiction writer, to use expletives in my narrative climaxes sometimes, as Harry Potter did, not in a, like, oh, we're in trouble, beep, but in a way that is using the definition correctly, for one, and paying off things I've set up throughout the narrative. But it allows you, if you hold these in reserve, even if you start now, you can begin to have these more powerful moments when you use expletives. And now, I'm not saying you should be like, okay, this is the moment where I need to use this expletive around my friends to get the advantage. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is a tool that you can use, but you should use with caution, obviously. So this method, I'm not going to call it the Xavier Schwimp method because that'd be weird, but this method, the non-swearing method of attention gaining and grabbing, I think can help you. So go out there, and I want you to try it maybe, and even if you've got this far in the video, so proud of you. You don't have to try this, but I encourage you to. and you'll notice slowly around your friend group that you're getting a little bit of maybe negative sometime attention because you're not swearing. But eventually, if you tell them like, hey, I'm not swearing right now, or simply, I'm not swearing, it actually gives you more respect from that group, as well as the attention needed because of that. So I gotta go do some lawn work and writing, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, blessings.